Rolling.
Right.
Action.
I was born and raised in Hong Kong, which is a very unusual place. Chinese culture, Chinese language, Chinese food, everything else. But we do watch all the Hollywood movies and listen to all the hit songs, and in school, instructions were given in English, although everybody speaks in Chinese. So coming here, it's a lot easier than uh, people who might have emigrated from China. It's a very competitive world academically, from even middle school to high school. Every year you get tested and tested. You have to really fight to keep on top, to be in the best school, in the best section. So studying hard is very much a part of life. But we do have time to, go watch movies and sports and things like that, go to the beach and things like that. In Hong Kong, my parents hired a Chinese scholar to give me Chinese lessons after school, beyond what's taught in class, like, poetry, literature, even how to write Chinese poetry and things like that. To give me a more, not just martial arts, but scholarship in Chinese. So I enjoyed that very much. I was really into martial arts, starting with watching a lot of martial arts movies, reading martial arts uh, novels, and things like that. And one year, there was this historical match between the Grandmaster of Tai Chi fighting the Grandmaster of White Crane. And they literally signed a waiver, no holds barred, no protection. You get hurt, you get killed. They signed that off, and it was held in Macau because Hong Kong wouldn't allow that. And the fight was a draw. For me, it was shocking. Wow, people really fight, not just in movies. So I decided to train with the Grandmaster of the White Crane because I thought Tai Chi is for old people. And I started to spend a lot of time training there. And I started hearing about Bruce Lee, a contemporary, who was very successful fighting in the streets with a different system called Wing Chun. So I started training in that as well. And so I spent more time than my classmates in that sort of activities, in addition to playing soccer and basketball and so forth. Here in the United States, oftentimes people just assume that, oh, you're Chinese, you're from Hong Kong, you must know martial arts. Actually, of the 100 people in my high school class, I was maybe one or two who actually went with martial arts. And, that's something that distinguishes me from a lot of my classmates. We settled in Palo Alto, and our family was one of just a handful of Chinese immigrants living in Palo Alto at the time. So we were very tight. And we went there because my both my parents graduated from what is now called Beijing University or Peking University, actually. And there were a lot of alumni in the Bay Area, and the handful of families who settled in Palo Alto were from Peking University. So we were very tight, of potluck dinners and celebration of New Year's and Mid-Autumn Festival and so forth. First day I was in the United States, I rode in a car that went 65, 70 miles per hour in the freeway. I've never been in a car faster than 30 miles per hour. I was really scared that, I could die any moment, at this speed. I remember that quite well. At age 15, 16, your high school buddies are more close to them than to your family. and leaving them behind was pretty tough. But we wrote letters all the time. Wrote 2-3 letters a month to each other. So I've always been very close to my Chinese relatives and friends, and at university as well. So I'm a Chinese American. I'm not just an American, although I'm naturalized citizen. I'm a Chinese American. Because I actually didn't finish high school, and I jumped right into college at Foothill College, a community college, for the first 2 years. And there's a tremendous gap between what I knew in, let's say, chemistry at the high school level versus freshman level chemistry. I had a really hard time, math and so forth, and of course, adjusting to speaking in English was challenging too. I was actually admitted to Stanford and didn't go because I didn't want to live at home. So I went to Davis, and Davis was just at the point of transitioning from agricultural school to a general campus. So when I went there, nothing's ready. The roads were dug up, the buildings were not quite finished, and then there's the weather was horrible. It's hot, hot, and hot. Um, you literally have to wait till like 9, 10 o'clock at night before you can go out to play basketball or anything like that. And there's nothing close by, no social life whatsoever. It's a cow town. Sacramento is a cow town, and San Francisco is 2 hours away, so it's nothing to do over there. There were maybe several dozen Chinese students in the campus of 5,000, and we got together for holidays and things like that. And of course, the dormitory life. I live in a dormitory, so there are these dormitory centered activities. As an undergraduate, I did not have a good time at UC Davis. Uh, I would say in the laboratory, um, I was assigned to synthesize a particular compound, um, and I was taught how to do it. When I was almost there, I was beaten by another laboratory, and I learned that science is very competitive at the highest level. After Davis, I wasn't clear that I need to go all the way to a Ph.D. level to be a chemist. So San Diego State is a master's program in chemistry. In fact, they were selected to be the only campus to have a joint doctoral program with the UC campuses at UC San Diego. So that was that option. So I went there and found that indeed chemistry is quite interesting, but biochemistry is even more interesting. So I started to, drift towards biochemistry rather than just like inorganic chemistry or organic chemistry and so forth. So I enjoyed that very well and did very well over there. Well, coming out of Davis into San Diego, um, it's very nice to be in an environment where there are beaches and outdoors and nice weather to go swimming, uh, kayaking, fishing, and do all of those things and play golf. In fact, I still remember hitting a hole in one in the Sun Valley golf course over there. So there is this other side of life, not just working in a laboratory, uh, as was the case in Davis. Uh, I worked under Professor Ted Abbott, a young professor back then who had just finished his postdoc at the laboratory of a Nobel laureate, um, Severo Ochoa, who got his Nobel Prize discovering RNA polymerase. So he kept telling me, how great it is to be working with the top guy in the world in that field. How great it is to be in a laboratory where everybody's like, really top notch. I I was very very good, and as a graduate student, I was actually the leader of the whole group uh, under Dr. Abbott, and he was very encouraging, and it also gave me a lot of confidence in my ability to do research. And he's the one who said, don't stop at the master's level. I got my Ph.D. at UCLA. I recommend you go over there. And in fact, there's a professor, Professor Irving Zabin, and he had just finished his sabbatical with another uh, Nobel laureate from Paris. So why don't you go to UCLA, get your, PhD under him, and then you'll be like, getting the best training possible. UCLA is big time university. Um, in addition to your own, recreational life, uh, big time football, basketball. Basketball. There was Lou Alcindor, who became Jabbar. Was playing those years while I was there. Track and field. Half the United States Olympic teamers have been from UCLA. So watching sports big time in the Coliseum. It's that's a change, and to be nationally recognized. San Diego State has a good reputation in California, but UCLA is UCLA. Well, postdoc experience at UCSF. Uh, I went there at the time when it was really the beginning of the golden age of UCSF. Thinking back, it's unbelievable that my peers, and young professors, assistant professors there, like Mike Bishop won the Nobel Prize, his postdoc, Harold Varmus won the Nobel Prize, um, and Herb Boyer uh, started Genentech, started the whole revolution on biotech, and Bill Rudder started Chiron, on and on, and to be with all these top people uh, who were brilliant, who later on became like icons, was quite eye-opening. I'm really lucky because from San Francisco, I did so well. I was recruited to be on the faculty of Johns Hopkins before I turned 30, and the wind was behind my back. Um, Before I got to Johns Hopkins, I already got awarded a big grant from the National Institutes of Health. I, just both feet running once I got there, and to be among the best of the best, uh, starting at the beginning was really a privilege. One thing I, you know, discovered that I was actually very good at is administration as well. So I mentioned how I became chair of the department, and then subsequently I was selected to be the head of the graduate school and associate dean for research. I was the head of the academic computer center and all sorts of things in addition to running the laboratory. And also outside of the university, um, being on top, the government needs you to be on advisory committees. So I was on the cell biology, um, so-called study section, the scientific advisory group for all the grants coming in to the cell biology section. And I served on that for a few years and so forth. So it's a very enriching environment in Baltimore back then. I was at Johns Hopkins for, a number of years. And then I completely changed over to UC Irvine for a number of years. So I didn't see a graduate change. That was a drastic change between Johns Hopkins and UC Irvine. Here, in terms of medicine, um, people are willing to take a broader view of not just Western medicine. So I was very active in uh, the development of integrative medicine on this campus. The other thing was developing biomedical engineering on this campus. So those things, was challenging but very rewarding and interesting. I would say a couple of years after I got here, um, I gradually, transitioned from cell biology of cancer cells to integrative medicine, because all my life started from martial arts. I got into Tai Chi, mind body practices, and things like that. And Johns Hopkins, I also was a co-founder of the Mind Brain Institute. So the mind and the brain and the body and that sort of stuff had been my interest. So that was a natural transition for me to get into that. And also, cancer cell biology research is getting to be really big business. It's not like one laboratory. People making progress are people who work with a consortium from like 10 universities and things like that. And I wasn't really into that sort of big scale factory type of research. In science, I talked about the best you can do is to train with somebody who's the best. So I talked about my, master's thesis mentor, worked in a Nobel Prize laureate. So did my Ph.D. mentor. So did my postdoc mentor. My postdoc mentor just got a few years ago, just got the Lasker Award, and he's in line to get the Nobel Prize. Over 2/3 of people who get the Lasker Award end up getting the Nobel Prize. So I have, worked with the best people. And in terms of Tai Chi or martial arts, I work with the Grandmaster of, I trained with the Grandmaster of White Crane. I later on, trained with the person who trained Bruce Lee how to fight. Okay, the best people. So Tai Chi, there are people teaching Tai Chi all over the city. Okay, all over the parks. No, I went with the best guy in the world, Grandmaster Chen Zhenglei. Okay, from the Chen family village. That's where Tai Chi. That's the birthplace of Tai Chi. That's where Tai Chi started 400 years ago. So I trained with him for the past 20 years, and I became one of the best in the world. So that's the philosophy that extends beyond just science. Martial arts, is a fighting skill, right? And in middle age, beating people up is not my top priority. Maybe making myself more healthy and then making other people more healthy is the goal. So I transition into Tai Chi and other mind-body practices that are also good for self-defense as well. So Tai Chi, is not just the balance of yin and yang, but the balance and harmony of yin and yang. So the hard and the soft, the fast and the slow, right? And it's not like, oh, half the time you do fast, half the time you do slow. They have to be meshed together. So like the Tai Chi symbol, it's not just a round circle, half black, half white. It's a very complex, black and white swirl together. Even then, where the white is in the middle, there's a black circle. And where the black is, there's a white circle. So, from the yin comes the yang, comes the yin, comes the yang. But within the yin, you have yang. Within the yang, you have yin. That's something that applies not just for mind-body practices and fighting skills, but in life. That harmony is the ultimate goal. So for students, okay, so you can look at studying in a library. Well, that's hardcore, right? That's yang. Weekend, have fun, okay, that's yin. Well, it's not perfect if you just have weekdays to study, weekends you go wild, okay. The best is if you can, like within the yin you have yang, within the yang you have yin. So when you study something that you really love, that you're really happy studying. And then when you have fun, not just sit there and play video game for the rest of the weekend, right? Do something that's good for your body, good for your mind, like, playing tennis or golf or things like that, or playing chess. So, that is something that applies to life as well. Tai Chi is extremely effective in fighting situation. Put that aside. So for the mind, okay, it's a moving meditation. So it, okay, the latest research shows that people who do Tai Chi have better connection between their hippocampus, which is like the hard drive of your brain. That's where memory is stored, and the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking part of the brain. Better connection between the two. So you could be born with a really good memory, but if you can't use the stuff you memorize, what good is it? Okay, so that is something that's really good, and obviously a lot of research saying that it will decrease stress. That's obvious. Stress is an inhibitor of your immune system, so you don't get sick and so forth. And the body, okay, so body, obviously the muscles, the tendons, and all of that, the bones. So clinical trials showing that it strengthens bones. It's best if you do authentic Tai Chi that has the yin and the yang and the fast and the slow and the hard and the soft. That's the original type of Tai Chi coming from the Chen family village, now referred to as Chen Tai Chi. Okay, you have fast punches, you jump, you hop, things like that, as well as the slow meditative movements. Lots of people, in fact, it's more popular to do the Yang style Tai Chi, which is the type that has only yin but no yang. So that's good, for the mind and for calming down and things like that. But you don't get the benefits of like the fast muscle fibers and the stronger bones that come from the jump and the weight bearing parts of the exercise. As undergraduates, I encourage them to be as broad as they can, but have a focused career goal. Don't make the mistake of like focusing too early and you become a technocrat. Just for instance, in biophysics, there are people who determine the structure of proteins by X-ray crystallography. So as an undergraduate, if you work in an X-ray lab, you're an X-ray technician. Do you want to be that for the rest of your life? I would say no. So you should be more broad as an undergraduate. With modern medicine, I feel like I'm physically and mentally, as well as when I was young. And with my knowledge and experience behind me, I could make a lot better use of my body and my mind.